Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, it's Vanity, Ezel back in the Card Fight Vanguard deck profile. So if you guys enjoyed, don't like, comment, subscribe, and also sorry. This time we are covering some more reviews from set 13. We have a lot of fucking news, like grade 11 Griffo Gila, which I think a lot of people cared about, and then me personally, I was more... Of course I didn't guess it was the evolution. I guessed it was everything else that could possibly be a new card that happened to do with Draco Tree with Jinky versus Gi, but of course I didn't guess the evolution. And then we of course have Jinky's deck, which is his brother Shinky's real deck, and then we have some Hermina cards from Lyrical Monster. We got a lot of stuff going on, so let's go and get this started, shall we? First up, we have Knight of Execution Keter. Let's just go ahead and Kilter. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way. Moon, I don't need to say that any further. Great on boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rear guard. When it boosts, if you have 6 or more units, choose one of your opponent's vanguards, and this unit comes 2k power on the battle for every that unit's grade. Again, I say, no offense to the evolved Griffo Gila, because I have yet to see what it actually officially does. I feel like they could have just hit us with another really broken card that was better than that. But, I mean, hey, it is what it is, and Griffo Gila can now do its shit on turn 5, so there's that. So, I mean, Kelter's an okay-ish grade 1, 2 of, I guess, just because of the moon, but no other reason behind that. Then we have Believe in the Fragrant Buds of Tomorrow. You haven't seen the theme yet, but there's a theme now between 2 Blitz orders that I'm curious to talk about. Grade 2 Blitz order, if you have 2 or more grade 1 or less rear guards, choose one of your units being attacked, it gets plus 15k power on the battle, and if your opponent's vanguard is placed by a card's ability this turn, so striding does affect this, as I've been told. Revolve, Dress, any of the grade 1/2s that superior ride the grade 4s, etc. The chosen unit gets plus 30k instead of plus 15. Cool, so F's over all of those superior ride decks, and not to mention the fact it's a free 15. Cool, very interesting. I think they heard enough complaints about, like, granted, Chrono Jet I think fell out of the meta. I don't know, I wasn't paying much attention. I just remember hearing more Good Diva complaints more than Chrono Jet recently. But, if Chrono Jet did come back, or if people are that afraid that Luard's going to break the meta, I say that with quotations, by the way, then there's your out to it, 2 of, I guess. Then we have Pumpkin Breeze Rebeta, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rearguard at the end of your turn. If you have 5 or more units of powerful ability, including herself, you may return all your rearguards and calm as her to your hand. Cool, so it can bounce PGs as long as you have everything else on your board as powerful. It can bounce itself, which is great, and then powerful continues guard circle. If your vanguard has Hermina in its card name, and you have 0 cards in your soul, it gets a 5k shield. Cool, it's a 10k shield. I wish it had a better rear guard ability, I guess what I would call it, like a better attacking ability, but I mean, hey, it's a 10k defense that can also bounce other 10k defenses on your board, so there's not much more I can say about it. Sadly, you can't use 2 of these at the same time because you'll go 1 unit less, so you can only use one once per turn, but I mean, hey, it's a nice card, so 2 over 3 of. And then we have Ecstasy Rose Custodia, grade 2 5k shield, 10k base. Wow, that quality is... Whew, I've never seen that quality of damage before. Auto and placed on rear guard circle. If you have vanguard with powerful ability, so boss 1 with the top 5 cards of your deck, to 1 grade 2 card with powerful ability, and if it's a grade 2 or lower, call it to rear guard. If it's not, put it to your hand, and if you added a card to your hand, discard 1 and shuffle your deck, and then powerful continues guard circle. If your vanguard's means card name, you have 0 more soul cards, gets with 5k shield. I really wish this was power instead of shield, because I don't know, I feel like that could have been better, because we already have this getting extra shield, and bouncing it to hand with this just doesn't seem worth it. But hey, on the bright side, not only does she help get rid of souls so you get into powerful more easily, but she pretty much either nets you another rear guard, or she nets you a persona ride, so there's that. All around, pretty solid. The only time she doesn't get you something is if you flip over all PGs and triggers. Now you may be thinking that may not happen often. It's happened to me twice already. Just saying that now. 4 of a Custodia. By the way, that's not because I flip over PGs, because I flip over all triggers. Just think about that for a second. It's happened twice already where I flipped over all triggers. And I think both times happened on camera too. So, 4 of Custodia. Then we have Enduring Beauty Armenia, grade 3 turn persona 15k base, dress up Coming Beauty Armenia. Contains Vanguard during your battle phase. If you have 3 or more face down cards in your damage zone, the auto abilities of all your powerful units in the front row have their cost reduced by current boss 1, including herself, so her following ability is free if you meet that requirement. But also, the one that gives drive checks, so I've recently learned is a lot better than what I thought it was. Now can activate her ability for 1 less CB, so instead of CB2, it's CB1, and the other ones have from her abilities are not free. And then her ability is Powerful Auto Vanguard. If you persona roll this turn, you may pay this ability's cost with counter boss 1 instead. Or again, if you have the 3 or more face down, it's just free. At the end of the battle, she attacked. If you have 0 cards in your soul, either discard Hermina from your hand, or again, if you persona road and this ability is active, pay no cost to stand all your front or rear guards' powerful ability. So it went from standing 1 rear guard to standing 2, which does get shut down by triggers, and I keep saying it every time. I wish this thing had 5k power plus instead of 5k shield, because all those times I've been shut down by triggers would not have happened if she just gained 5k power. But being able to stand a front row is nice, because that means you can use the drive check grade 2 more than once, and you just get good numbers out of it. Very solid grade 3, and you can do this when your opponent's at grade 2, so 5 attacks. You know, it's a solid 3 over the main deck, 1 of in the ride deck. And all I will say is this: for Tia, I have seen has hit better numbers with less attacks, mainly because of my triple drives, for some reason always yielding triple triggers, and also me consistently hitting the over. At this point, I don't know if it's luck or if it's just how the deck works, because there's no way in hell it consistently hits the over into triple triggers, but whatever. Check that as you will. Then we have Cannon Dragon Velcold Launcher, Grade 1 Boost 5k Shield, AK Base, the closest thing we ever get to a Tachi Grade 3, which isn't even a Grade 3. Auto placed on rear guard circle. Counterboss 1 and put a Grade 3 from your solo drop something that was in your ride deck back into the ride deck face up and draw a card. I remember last week I had said there was a card that had a similar effect, and I was like, well, there's no way to get copies duplicate back into the ride deck. And then I thought about it for a second, like, yeah, after this card got revealed, I was like, oh yeah, the Treasure Beast can do that. Well, to be fair, though, that is relatively difficult to... You still have to draw the persona as them, and this one is, I guess, easier because it doesn't really specifically require the thing to have the same name, but still, it doesn't really get you a solo charge. It only is a CB1 to draw, and is a convoluted CB1 at that, so... And it's specifically a grade 3, not a grade 3 or less, so... I don't know, it's not horrible, but it's like 2 of, kind of, you really choose to run it. And then we have Drag Rider Katara, Grade 2 instead 5k shield, 10k base, that continues rear guard. If you have a face-up card and your ride deck with the same name as your vanguard, it gets plus 10k power active on both players' turns. Cool, we have another card that does the exact same thing, 20k base, that's not much more I can say about it. That's literally all I can say about it, so 20k base, take that or leave it. Then we have new Grade 3, which I guess is as close as we'll get to me wanting Bushy to give vanguard skills to really good rear guards that are triple rares that happen to be Grade 3s. But, I mean, this isn't really that, but I'll take what I can get because it is technically a rear guard that turned into a Grade 3. Sword that connects heaven and earth, Alden. Grade 3 200% 13k base. I love how whenever people solved this, they were like, from everything I saw, it was like, oh my god, they turned such an iconic Grade 3 into a main vanguard. And my thought process was, okay, so it took them until set 14 to do this. Why exactly? Or not set 14, set 13 to do this. Why exactly? But anyways, just so I can go ahead and get the reasons. The only reason why I like this card at the start, and now I like its skill too, but the only reason why I cared about this thing at the start, it was not because it was an Alden. Sword, and this motherfucker has a cape. Also, it made me remember that Alden has pink hair. Like, every time I look at Alden, I do not see pink hair, I see blue, and for some reason, like, every now and again, I'll realize, oh yeah, he has pink hair. Yeah, this one is, I'm never going to forget that because it matches with the cape. Anyways, active Vanguard, once per turn, counterboss 1, solo boss 1, choose 1 Grade 3 of this card from your hand, call it to rear guard. If you called a card, draw 2. If you saw the first video I did with this, you know, it was just, I was confused because I didn't think it was that good. That is a free fucking draw 2, but it is a free fucking draw 2. And I've also seen people say, it's not compatible with the new Alden. Or sorry, old Alden's not compatible with new Alden. Yes, it is! I may have failed to pull it off on camera, which, by the way, if you're paying attention to the entire video, I did say as like a caption, at some point when we did the matches off camera, I pulled it off consistently, where I'm still blaming the camera for me not being able to pull it off. It is very easy to pull off this and the other Alden together. 3 CB in that deck is not a lot of CB, to be fair with you, and I promise you on that. That's a free draw 4 and 2 rear guards out of it, just saying. And then Auto Vanguard, when these new attacks into anything, if you have 3 or more rear guards with different grades, kind of difficult to hit, kind of not, depending on your playstyle. So boss 1, choose one of your rear guards, return it to the hand, and then choose up to 2 unit cards from your hand with the sum of their grades being equal to or less than the original grade of the returned unit card. Call into rear guard and same column as each other. So you get 4 attacks, you don't get 5 attacks, unless one of them happens to be Caribre, who can call more units, or how I discovered in that video, but fucked up and would have... By the way, it was confirmed between me and my friend. I would have won that game if I actually had pulled, if I had actually done the effect, but you could call Alden and get more attacks out of it, even if you don't call it grade 3. But, you know, being able to get multi-attack off a simple cost of a Soul Blast is pretty nice, and not to mention the fact it could lead to more multi-attacks with Caribre and Alden, but also in the sense of, because just bounce the original grade and then you call equal to the same amount, you can just call the whole grade and then do what I did at the end of that video and call a grade 0. Like, you can just bounce a grade 1, call a grade 1, and then call a grade 0, and it still is legal. So, 4 of Alden. I don't know why he doesn't want me to use him perfectly on camera, but the second we go off camera, me and him are intertwined like hell. So 4 of Alden, just very solid grade 3. Then we have a Resolute Determination, Rest in My Hands. Yeah, this is what I was talking about with this one. So here's the theme. Blitz Order played. If you have 3 or more rear guards, grade 2 Blitz Order. Choose a unit being attacked, it gets 15k hit on the battle, and if your opponent's vanguard was placed by a card's ability, it gets plus 30k instead of 15k. Okay, in my opinion, this is the weirdest reason to have, like, Vanguard placed by cards' abilities. I don't know why they're doing this. I am assuming it's because either Chronojet is about to come into the meta, if it's not still very present in the meta. We all know I don't pay attention to the meta, and I don't give a shit, so there's that. Or it's because they're that worried just in case Luard breaks the meta. Again, putting quotations over that statement. So then they're just like, let's bring these in just in case we have to. Or Youthberg breaks the meta. That's also an option if Youthberg Full Blast happens to be that broken. But Resolute Determination, Rest in My Hands, it's okay. I feel like Hopeful Testude is kind of better because the difference is Hopeful Testude, granted, is a grade 3 Blitz Order, but it requires only 3 units and not 3 specific rear guards. The difference is you could have 1 less unit and you'll be able to pull off the order. While yes, this does give more power, it's like kind of situational. In my opinion, out of bias and just overall situations, I'd run Blissful Testudo, but this is also okay, so take that as you will, but I'm probably not going to run this ever. It does have a cool art though, and that's a shame. Next up, we have Fuming Turnipace, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Such an amazing art for such a interesting card. Alden placed on rear guard circle by counterblasting 1 and putting a grade 3 from your solar drop zone that was originally in the ride deck back into the ride deck face up. Choose up to 1 card with the original 15k shield from your drop zone, put it to your hand. Okay, it can recycle a trigger or a really important card to your deck that has exactly 15k shield, no more, no less. But it requires specifically a grade 3, meaning you can only use this once unless by some miracle of God you find a way to bring this from your ride deck and back into your drop zone. I'm really questioning what Bushy's logic here because what was the other one on this list that was like that? Was it this one? Yeah, so these both are only one-time uses. I don't understand why it's like that. It just is. Because its ability is only useful one at a time, twice, maybe. I really want to know why Bushy's printing these. Then we have Tier Knight Hesperos, grade 2 instead of 5k shield, 10k base. Auto when placed on rear guard circle from the hand. If your ride deck has a face-up grade 3 card with the same name as your vanguard, by soul blasting 1 and ditching 1, choose a grade 3 else card from your drop zone, call it to rear guard. Okay, this one is not nearly as bad as this because, again, one-time use. This one, granted, does require Persona Ride, then soul blast and looping something back. But either way, like Hesperos over here, at least can, once you get to that point, is not a hard once per turn, can make you a board, and is all around a decently solid grade 2. So, well, the only down, oh wait, no, I was supposed to say the only downside is it requires a grade 3, but then I remember it is grade 3 less. So, I mean, all around, pretty solid, not a horrible grade 2, not an amazing grade 2 either, but it's at least better than this thing, so 2 over 3 of. And okay, let's finish up our cards in a lightning round because I overslept. First of all, we have the grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 6k power, our new starter for Keter Sanctuary, Knight of Heavenly, Armired Abetis, grade auto when wrote upon if you want second draw card, standard starter spell it, just a free draw if you want second. None of the ride line really requires this, but hey, he's nice to have and he looks pretty cool, so I'll take him as my starter for the Alden line. Plus his sword seems to match the rest of them. And then we have Knight of Heavenly Lasting Tequila, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Auto when wrote upon by revealing 3 cards with different grades from your hand. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose to 1 grade 1 or less unit card from among them, call it to rear guard circle and shuffle the deck, and if you did not call a card, you may call this card to rear guard instead. All around pretty solid. I wish I had at least a 2k rear guard skill, you know, like if your vanguard is a specific vanguard, get 2k, but being able to get a free rear guard is nice. But also, this is extremely generic because if you look at this, none of its skill requires you to ride a specific grade 2 on top of it. So finally, we have another generic ride line unit and not just the one that Graham Grace has, which is kind of 50-50, honestly. So Tranquilia is all around a pretty cool grade 1. It has a nice weapon, he looks amazing, and again, very generic skill that gets you a rear guard. One of in the ride deck. Thank you, Bushy.
Then we have Clear Sky Knight Sodius, Great Twin Set 5k shield 10k base. Okay, let's go ahead and get this out of the way now. He has a bow. I'm already liking him. Auto, same thing as before. When rolled upon by revealing 3 different grades from your hand, look at the top 5 cards of your deck to 1 grade to list unit card from among them, call it to rear guard and shuffle your deck, and if you do not call a card, you may call this card to rear guard instead. Cool, so it's nice that both of them have the ability to either get a free unit card from the top 5 or call themselves, which is nice to have. I thought it was 2 cards, but I guess that's the way that what's his name, that Jinky was using it, because he was always calling Kariba, and Kariba would call 1 more unit, I guess. But Sodius being able to, again, call himself, being generic, and also being able to call something else as well, if possible, is just all around pretty solid. It's an amazing grade 2. Thank you, Bushy, for listening. I think the new Alden line is just proof that Bushy sometimes does listen to the people, or maybe just me rambling, so who knows. So one of this thing in the ride deck, and one of this thing in the ride deck. Bushy, please keep doing this, because we finally have generic ride lines, and I'm so happy about it. Then we have the most random fucking counter charge I've ever seen. Of course, in a deck that I've proven doesn't need a CC, we get a CC, but Sage of Civilization Fyron, Great on boost 5k shield, 8k base, Alden when placed on rearguard circle, it gets plus 2k power for that turn, and then if you have a Vanguard Alden's card name, ditch your hand card to counter charge 1. So, no matter how it is placed, whether it's by effects, deck, hand, whatever, it's a free 2k, and only then if you have an Alden Vanguard, you ditch your card to CC. And if you don't know, if you combo the Alden's Rail, you get 4 free cards. This is a 4 of. That's a 4 of. I'm not going to tell you why that's a 4 of. You should understand why it's a 4 of. Then we have Sharpness Knight Airmac, Great 2 set 5k shield, 10k base. Alden when placed on rearguard circle. If you have a unit with Alden in its card name, it gets plus 5k power till the turn. And then if it's placed by your card's ability, it gets 15k instead of 5k. So what I love about this is this doesn't really require you to have a Vanguard with Alden in its card name. Yes, it's easier to use this card if you have Vanguard in its card name, but as long as you have any unit on your board, whether it's Vanguard or Rearguard, it's a free 5k, but then if it was placed by card's ability, it's an extra 15. Or not an extra 15, extra 10. This is an amazing grade 2. Honestly, that's really good. Maybe not a 4 of war, but the fact that this can be used without requiring an Alden Vanguard, I did not mean to edit the text of that, but the fact this can be used without using an Alden Vanguard is all around pretty solid, makes this thing very versatile, and if Alden, the regular one, becomes more broken, or they give us more rearguards with Alden in the card name, Airmac is suddenly going to go up in price with them, because he can probably be comboed with them. Like I said, possibly a 3 of, just because it's a 25k fucking base during the turn with Alden. Then we have Clear Skies Dragon, Light Leads Dragon. I've been expecting this one the most because A, that art is fucking baller, and B, the skill is great. So, continues rearguard if you have used Alden's card name, it gets boost. Again, doesn't require the Vanguard to be an Alden. I love how, I'm just not realizing, Fyron's the same case. I love how all 3 support cards do not require the Vanguard to be an Alden. You just have to have something on the board with Alden's card name. So if you run the grade 3 rearguard one, and if you don't have the Vanguard with Alden's card name, you can still pull it off. Anyways, so it gets boosted if you have an Alden unit, and then auto rearguard at the end about a boosted or attacked anything by putting another rearguard saying call message to your soul, choose one uses Alden's card name, gets plus 10k power for the turn. Cool. Again, doesn't specify the Vanguard. Regardless if you meet the conditions or not, you can still send a rearguard to soul, just send a rearguard to soul. And what I was worried about it would be only when it boosts, but the fact that it can on attack with that skill too is amazing. Again, I say, Bushy actually did a really good job with support. Normally I hate the support because it's name restricted and it's like hard name restrictions and it has to be with Vanguards, but the fact that these 3 fucking cards don't require it to be on the Vanguard, it just requires you to have an Alden unit, meaning again, they are exploitable with every other deck that runs Alden, regardless if it's the new one or not, and then you can also use the new ride line generically as well. Just thank you, Bushy. 4 of Light Leads. This is my new favorite deck. Okay, maybe not my new favorite deck, but one of my new favorite decks, just because of how generically splashable it is. Because it's like, it feels like Bushy listened to me, even though I know that's not the case, it's just coincidence, it feels like Bushy listened. Then we have Dragon Tree Wretch Gila Dash Shouts. So we finally have our searcher for the Mask of Hydro Gum. So grade 2 instead of 5k shield, 10k base. Okay, that thing honestly looks crazy. Auto placed on rearguard circle by C being 1 and soul blasting 1. Choose one of your rearguards and Dragon Tree markers on it. Put Dragon Tree marker on it, search after 1 mask has a free gum reveal, put it to your hand, shuffle your deck. Cool, it's just the free Draco Tree marker searcher and free Draco Tree marker maker and order searcher. There's not much more I can say about it. So I mean, let's just go ahead and move on and say that's a possible 2 over 3 of in your Keter deck. Then, of course, we have Inhumane Dragon. Its skill is literally a copy and paste of the thing from Braincade before, more or less. So I'm willing to bet that every deck is going to get one of these. But grade 3 to Persona 13k base, continuously cannot be ridden. You also cannot normal call units to rear guards without trigger markers on it. Or like, it cannot be normal called to rear guards without trigger markers on it. Continues rear guard during turn equals 2k for each of your trigger markers on your rear guard circles. And continues rear guard during turn, this equals 2k for each of your rear guards. Cool, just adds numbers. Again, there was a Braincade one that did the same thing, except the difference was instead of for each of your rear guards gets 2k, it was for each set order. So I'm willing to bet everyone's gonna get that. But I mean, hey, still a pretty solid card nonetheless. And I like his skills. It's possible 2 over 3 of them in my Keter deck. Actually, that's a lot. My Keter deck doesn't need the aggressive power. I like the defense power that it has. And let me move on to you. My most disappointing reveal. I say disappointing because I was like so before we got this episode, I theorized everything. Like it was gonna be either a new Draco Tree unit, which I guess I was technically right, but I meant like a new unit that wasn't a Griffo Gila, or a new mask unit that works across all nations. And then when I saw this, I was like, of course it was a fucking evolution. Why wouldn't Bush use a fucking evolution? I was so mad at myself because I didn't expect the one obvious thing. And then I read comments and people were like, oh my god, it's an evolution. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, neither was I. I expected something much, much different, and I completely missed the obvious. Anyways, Supreme Dragon Tree of Annihilation, Griffo Gila Vortex, Grade 11, Twin Drive, 18k base, auto in place by riding from fucking anything, whether it's itself or the other one. Put a Griffo Gila Eschatologia put it to your order zone. Cool. And then continues Vanguard. During your turn, this is 10k power plus 1 crit. And to think I thought there was a requirement behind that. That is just a free 20k, 8k, and double critical base during your turn. Cool. And then it contains Vanguard. If you total have Hydro Gum and Drago Tree markers on your rear guard circles 10 or more, it gets an additional 10k active on both players' turns. So my idea, just spam the board with Hydro Gum markers or Hydro Gum units are suddenly going to pay off. And not to mention the fact, this just makes it stronger. And then Auto Vanguard, once per turn, when it attacks the Vanguard, choose a face a Calamity card in your right deck, remove it. If you did not remove a card, choose any trigger from your right deck, reveal it, activate all of the trigger effects and its additional effects, remove it, stand all your rear guard trigger markers on them. Cool. Stands the rear guards, activates any trigger. I think Griffo Gila will specifically activate the over, and I'm going to show you why that matters in a second, but being able to activate any trigger is pretty solid, still having that ability to yeet a trigger away, and again, being just literally a free. That's what I love about this. The fact that you can brick with this deck now, and as long as you draw into this, you still have that 28k double critical pressure. That's actually a really good card. Maybe 3 of because you don't want to brick with it, but I'd say that's honestly a 4 of. And then the reason why this effect matters. Griffo Gila Estrolagi. I'm not going to try pronouncing that again. Grade 11 set order. It represents a Griffo Gila Estrolagi token and cannot be put into your deck. So that's what I was worried about too. This would be like something you put into your deck and then you have to warrant possibly bricking it. But the fact that it's literally just on place is pretty nice to have. Anyways, auto order zone. At the beginning of your main phase, you may search your deck for up to 1 trigger unit, put it to your right deck face up, and then shuffle the deck. And if you put a card, choose a Hydro Gum from your drop zone, may call it to rear guard. Fetches a marker user, gets a free trigger into the right deck, which is why this matters in case your opponent somehow survives the overturn, or if the over would deck you out, we can use this to fix that, which has happened, especially in Keter. Then act order zone once per turn, the thing that breaks this deck. Continuous, discard a card with Griffo Gila's card name from your hand, whether it's fucking Vortex over here or the current grade 10, to draw a card, then choose one of your rear guards with anything on it, regardless if it does have a marker, it doesn't, put a free marker on it so we can finally deck markers, and then by putting the top card of your deck into your damage zone face down, choose a face up Calamity card from your red deck and remove it. So let's just unpack that real quickly. By ditching just a Griffo Gila, that's a free draw and a free rear guard marker. Then if you wanted to, none of this is required, but then if you wanted to, you can just, speed up the process, remove a Calamity card, go for game. I don't need to tell you why this is now a 4 of and why all of these cards are good. I'm just going to end this one here, and then you guys are left to figure it out. If you excuse me, I'm going to go test play this deck with such joy in my heart, knowing that all these cards are fucking generic and super broken, and then I'm going to go enjoy test playing this, where I try to spam the fuck out of Vartex. So see you on this one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join us on Twitch, and don't forget to stand up your vanguards.